Hey guys, I am back with another big one. Before you guys say anything, I know I said I was done with yellow Wolverine statues. Well, I had to make an exception. In my Black Widow video, I showed you guys a little teaser of this 1/3 scale museum style Wolverine. I was very excited about this piece because it is something that I don't have in the collection, and the commissioner actually reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to show it on the channel. So of course, I said yes. He sent it over, so here it is. So today I'm gonna show you guys this bad boy up close. So a lot of the custom statues that I show on the channel are already sold out by the time I get them in hand. But that's not the case with this one. This one is up for pre-order right now. Just message me on Facebook and I will send you in the right direction. This is a 1/3 scale Wolverine in the classic suit. There aren't a lot of 1/3 scale Wolverines out there now that LBS has canceled theirs. So if you are looking for a museum style Wolverine in this scale, I think you're gonna wanna see this. If 1/3 scale happens to be too big for you, they're also making this in 1/4 scale as well. I'll give you guys all the specs, all the pricing info at the end of the video. But for right now, let's open this up and take a closer look. We've got some orange tape on this one. I'm not sure if this is how the final product is gonna be shipped. They might have straps. I'm not sure. This is just a production sample, so the actual foam that it comes in might be a little bit different, but let's go ahead and open this up and see what we have. All right. So it looks like we got the base right here in the middle. I'll get to that in just a second. Let's look at the portraits. We've got 4 different portraits with this one. We have 2 masked portraits and 2 unmasked portraits. We also have some cigars. 2 of the portraits, you can put a cigar in his mouth. So here is the first portrait. Here you can see the little hole in his mouth where we put the cigar. Let me go ahead and grab one. This goes in like that. Look at that, pretty cool. So some nice little details there on the top of the cowl. Some nice texture, some whited out eyes, some nice sculpt on the nose, the nostrils, the lips, and the chin. We got some 5 o'clock shadow. Pretty cool, nice big Wolverine portrait. Let's see the next one. This one is also a masked portrait. No cigar for this one. He's kind of got a frown on his face. The fins on the cowl are a little bit different as well. This one doesn't have that little part that comes down. I kind of prefer it without the little point, but I know some artists like to draw it with the point. Very cool. This one almost looks like kind of that Batman frown. Nice second option there. Then we have some unmasked options. Whoa, this portrait is really heavy. The masked portraits have some weight as well, but the ones with the hair feel a little bit heavier. Just look at all the little spikes here in the back of the head. A lot of detail on this hair. And the mutton chops on the sides as well. We got black hair with the blue highlights. You can see all the individual strands, very defined hair. All right, and then here is the face. This actually looks really good. Usually, I'm not a huge fan of unmasked portraits on Wolverine, especially suited up Wolverines. But this one looks really nice. Look at the eyebrows. Very nice sculpt on the features. Got some texturing going on with the skin. So we'll give him the other cigar. This unmasked portrait looks pretty cool. Especially with a cigar. Let's go ahead and take out the last portrait. Again, very good weight on these. And this one's just like the masked portrait with the frowny face. No cigar, same great hair. If I do use the unmasked portrait, I will probably use the one with the cigar. Gives a little bit more attitude, but we'll have to see it on the statue. There you go, 4 really nice options. And we'll see them on the statue in a bit. Looks like we have some other parts here. Looks like his shoulder pads. We've seen very similar shoulder pads before. This kind of blue metallic paint gives a nice shine. Then we have some of the battle damage with the scratches and dents. This one has one little magnetic key. Here we have the matching one for the other side. Let's go ahead and take a look at the base. Like the other pieces from this group, it has a circular museum style base with the little symbol here on the front, and then just like the other pieces, on top of the black circular base we have a little bit of a storytelling base, and this one is kind of this rocky terrain with some snow on top. Some nice layering on that rock, but there you go. Very simple base for this statue. Not crazy heavy either. Looks like we have the arms in here as well. All right, oh, look at these. So we got some real metal claws, but these look really good. Nicely spaced out. They're not bent. Sometimes when you have polystone or resin claws, sometimes they can get a little bit funky with the shape. Sometimes they come out a little bit bent, but with these metal claws, look at that, precision. And then he's got these cool gloves on. You can see it's got this leathery texture. It's got some added details that we're not used to seeing. Kind of a darker blue on the palm there. Another dark blue band. And then this cool kind of buckle. Going up his arm, we've got all this hair. And then we have a little key there. I guess that's where the shoulder pad goes. But nice veins in the bicep. Very nice round muscle bellies. This is gonna be one hairy guy. And then over here we've got the right arm. So this one comes with one claw. It's kind of doing the middle claw. I thought you would be able to remove the claws or add 2 more claws to make it 3, but this is how it comes. So these are both right hands. If you just wanted 1 claw, you use this one. And then if you wanted 3, you can use this one. It might be easier if they just had 1 arm that you can just remove 2 of the claws, but I guess then you would have a hole, a little space missing where the claw was, so that wouldn't work. So they made a whole new arm just so you could display 1 claw. Now we're moving on to the bottom layer. I guess we need another arm and Wolvie's body. I thought this was another portrait, but it's actually the cowl. And I believe his other arm is holding the cowl. So obviously you would use this one if you were using one of the unmasked portraits. Sometimes in the unmasked portraits we get these cowls that are just kind of around Wolvie's neck. But this is the first time I've seen a statue in person with him actually holding the cowl. So lots of different options to display this guy. This one, he's got 3 claws, and this arm is more straight than the previous options. So we'll have to check out all the different combinations to see which one looks the best. And then it looks like we have 2 more options. So here's another left arm that's kind of straight with 3 claws. So when you look at these, they look very similar. However, when you kind of line up the keys to see how they're going to fit on the statue, you can tell that this one's kind of straight down. This one over here is kind of turned out a little bit. So we'll have to see once we put it on the statue. I'm sure it'll become more apparent, but we can see one is more like this and the other one is turned like that. This one is a right arm that's more straight. Look at that vein there. Ooh. I think the only thing left is our Wolverine body. This, I think, will be the tallest Wolverine statue in my collection. So here we go. Classic yellow costume, black stripes with some added little stitching line details in there to give it some modern flair. Some texturing there in the side panel, kind of a leathery look on the front, with some nice shading around the abs and ribs, shading on the back, some nice little details in there. And then we have a red belt. It's not just a plain belt, it's kind of got these lines in it, the X up there in front. I really like that red paint, kind of a metallic red. Then we've got the blue underoos with more of that same yellow. Look at those quads, nicely sculpted quads. Oh, we do have a little bit of texturing going on here on the side of the leg, down to these cool blue boots, black fins, black stripe down the front, and then we've got this added snow on his shoes as well. We've got 1 key and peg on the left heel. So there you go. Let me go ahead and switch the camera back and we'll put this guy together and I'll give you my thoughts on this piece. Okay guys, here he is, the big short guy, but as you can see here, he is anything but short. This statue is 26 inches tall. Wolverine himself, from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head, is a little bit more than 21 inches, which in third scale makes him about 5'2", 5'3", so perfect scaling. As I mentioned, this piece is also available in quarter scale in case you want something a little bit smaller. For me, I've got enough quarter scale Wolverines to last me a lifetime, so I am glad to add the larger 1/3 version. Lots of different switch out options for this guy, both portraits and arms. Right now I've got him displayed with his arms down, claws out. I think this pose is awesome for a museum style piece. Not very dynamic, but still shows a lot of power and strength. Very similar base to the other bases we've seen with other statues from this group. So on top of the black base, we have this kind of snowy, rocky base. Personally, I would have been fine if it was just Wolverine standing on a black base. However, I do think it's cool that they added a little bit of environment to this to give it a little bit more character. It's still relatively simple, and then we've got the nice white textured snow on top, and some of that is also on Wolverine's boots here. Like I showed you guys in the unboxing, very nice detail on the boots. Some great details in the pants, all the little lines and creases, the shading on these giant quads. The belt on this guy is red. It's not the classic belt, but I do like this modernization of this suit, including the added texture on the side panels. Very nice sculpt in all the muscles. He's got huge legs, huge arms, a nice V taper in the back. And one of the things that I really like about this statue is that it isn't perfectly symmetrical from left to right. One foot is slightly in front of the other, and he's got a little bit of his weight shifted on his upper body. So it really has a natural feel and look to it. His little shoulder pads look great. Really like the paint they used for that. And they scuffed them up as well with some battle damage. This Wolverine is a little bit more slim in the middle than some of the other Wolverines that I have, but I really like this narrower waist. It gives him a much more pleasant looking physique, especially from the back there. Then we've got all this hair on his arms. Sometimes with Wolverine statues, you'll just get the sculpted lines here without much color. Sometimes they'll add a little bit of a wash that kind of give it that 5 o'clock shadow look. But here we've got the lines pretty deeply cut into his arm and some pretty dark hairs. So you can definitely see those hairs from far away, letting you know that this guy is a hairy beast. The veins in the biceps look awesome. I'm really digging the design on these gloves. Very cool with the extra padding here on the back of the hand, as well as the little buckle there on the forearm. The claws look great. They are real metal. Nothing beats real metal claws on a Wolverine. And here we get a lot of them. So right now I've got him with the mask portrait with the closed mouth. I think this is my favorite, at least looking at each of the portraits coming out of the box. I really like this design of the cowl, and I really like that expression on his face. Reminds me of a lot of my Batman statues. So right now I'm really digging this pose right here, but we've got a lot of different options, so let's go ahead and try them out. So in order to change the arms, they just pop right off. You do have to remove the shoulder pad to put it on the new arm when you change it each time. And it just keys in on the top like that. So here we have the one claw, kind of the middle finger claw. And let's go ahead and change this portrait out, and we'll give him the cigar portrait. So I think that looks pretty awesome as well. This one with the single claw out kind of blocks his face from certain angles, but there is a 3-clawed option that his hand is a little bit lower. Right now I think his left arm looks fine, but in case you wanted it turned out a little bit more, we have this option right here. I'm not sure they really needed to have this one. The other one looked fine to me, but You know, it's always good to have options. I mean, I like it. You can see a little bit more of his fingers this way, a little bit more tension in the bicep, a little more tension in the fist and the forearm. Let's swap out this one. I'll show you guys the 3-clawed option. So there he is with 3 claws out. And as you can see, if you pose it like that, you can see his face much better than with that 1 claw. I mean, 1 claw doesn't really block his face all that much, but if you're like me, you don't want any kind of obstruction on the portrait. I do like that hand actually just relax. I don't know, you guys can let me know what you guys think. Then we've got the unmasked portrait that we can use. I think these portraits are awesome. These are some of my favorite unmasked Wolverine portraits. I love the hair. The hair is just sculpted to perfection. The expression on his face, the paint on his eyebrows, eyes, everything. So with the unmasked portraits, we can use the arm that is holding the cowl. You could use this for the masked portraits as well, but it doesn't make quite as much sense. So that looks pretty cool with him holding the top of the cowl like that and just not having it around his neck. Pretty sweet. I like the look of that cigar in the unmasked portrait. And in case you don't want the cigar, you can always swap it out for the non-smoking version. And that one looks just as cool. So like I mentioned earlier, I usually like to display my costumed Wolverines with the cowl. However, I don't know, these portraits are kind of changing my mind. So when he does have the cowl, we can kind of see that seam line around his neck. It fits very well with the unmasked portraits because there's a transition from skin to cloth. And I guess it makes sense that there would be a seam there as well if he had a removable cowl. A lot of Wolverine statues are bent over, so you know, they are able to cut the seam line a little bit closer to the bottom of the skull. But since he's standing upright, they had to do it a little bit lower on the neck, especially since we have these unmasked portraits as well. But I think it looks cool. You know, very tight seam line, even though it's there. But you're not really gonna pay much attention to it when you're looking straight on anyway. In case you wanted it down, let's see what that looks like. A lot of different combinations with this guy. So I think this is the body pose I'm gonna go for. I'm not really sure on the portrait. I'm loving them all, but if I had to pick one, it would be this head right here. This is kind of like the ultimate museum style relaxed Wolverine. Well, as relaxed as he's gonna get. Just him standing on the top of a snowy mountain. So as of the upload date of this video, this guy is still available for pre-order. The commissioner said he will cut it off maybe in a couple weeks, and then whatever the orders are, that is what the ES is gonna be. I think they said they're gonna need at least 40 of the 1/3 scale in order to get this guy produced, or 30 of the 1/4 scale. They also have kit versions available if you want to paint your own. All this information is available on the group page. If you're interested, make sure to send me a message on Facebook and I can put you in touch with the right people. But I think this is a fantastic Wolverine. Don't take my word for it. Take a look at the pictures and all the images of this guy and make your own decision. Like this video, subscribe, do all that stuff. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.